Recently, it was announced that Sony had canceled a fair number of live service games, including a God of War MMO. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, okay, some of the most premier single-player titles in your guys' catalog, okay? At one point in time, the face of the brand, spinning it off into an online service, like, what are you doing? That's just very silly, but apparently, there was also a Horizon Zero Dawn, a Horizon and Aloy and Nikocado Aloy Kato game. Like, what are we doing out here? Okay, like these Horizon games, they're just all mid as hell, and it's crazy, right? Because I remember when the game was first being announced, when Zero Dawn was out there, and you had that big cinematic gameplay reveal at one of the last E3 events, and it's like, oh, cool, another girl boss with a bow. Oh, this is fantastic. But this one has robot dinosaurs. It's gonna be so fantastic. And you know what? A lot of people bid on it. Okay, like it was wildly popular. And then the second game came out. Well, less said about that one, the better. But Sony, for whatever reason, wants to make Aloy a thing. They gave them the Lego. They gave, yes, Aloy or Aloy or I don't know, Ugly. They gave her the Lego treatment. The first Sony first-party IP gets the Lego treatment, and it bombs. Like, it's an unmitigated failure. When, if you would have taken any of the previous Sony mascots of the past, it would have been an outright success, okay? Like, a Lego God of War game, that would be fun as hell. But no, you take bland, pathetic, boring Aloy and you stick her in a Lego game. Is anybody gonna care? Apparently not. And that's why Sony's Horizon Zero Dawn MMO may have been canceled, suggests a new report, and nobody's really crying. Less than a week after reported that Sony had axed two live service projects, a God of War one from Bluepoint, who is a very talented studio, so subjecting them to do that is just ridiculous, and an unknown one from Ben Studios. There are rumblings that another live multiplayer project may have been canceled, the Horizon Zero Dawn MMO that Sony was making with NC Soft. And it's wild, right? Like, you guys have, there are so many different franchises, okay, non-character driven franchises that you guys could go ahead and reboot for an MMO setting, like SOCOM MMO, okay? Little Big Planet MMO, that would be cool. Like, if you wanted to do something with a mascot, you wanted to do something with a central character, something that you could pivot off of, like, you'd have a bunch of little sack boys running around. That would be fun. Or you just stumbled into success with Astro Bot. You could spin things off that way. But no. We got to do stupid Aloy. What are we doing? From Korea's MTN via Reset Era, we have reporting of a number of games that have stopped development at NC Soft rather. It is understood that some NC Soft, the new games and live games, have received a notice of decision rather to stop development or service as a result of feasibility review. Games under CBO Lee Sung-gu, including Pantera, H, and J, are reportedly included on the list, raising questions about whether development on Pantera, also known as Ray's Lineage M, will be haunted. Okay. It's long thought that NC Soft's Project H is a Horizon Zero Dawn MMO. So much for that. It's on the game's fandom wiki page. It's seemingly been confirmed through past reporting of job listing of NC Soft employees. But according to Push Soft, Horizon's MMO may have survived NC Soft's cull after all, because there's just such a demand for this. An email shared from RuliWeb reporter Seo Jung, Korean names, told the reader the canceled Project H mentioned in the article has nothing to do with Horizon. This is where the story gets pretty confusing. NCSoft job resume has referenced a game called Project Skyline, which shares the same font as Horizon's logo, previously known as Project H. It appears, however, the Project H has been canceled, not Project Skyline, meaning the rumored Horizon MMO may still be alive. Because, of course, man, I don't know. Because, okay, in the context of Star Wars, right? Okay, just follow me for my analogy here for a second. You have Ahsoka Season 1 that performed absolutely abysmally. Only the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew and Andor Season 1, even though Andor eventually, it gained its fan base over time. Only those three projects performed worse than Ahsoka. But it gets a Season 2 because Dave Filoni has his OC and he's going to make it the main character of Star Wars come hell or high water. Who has a hard-on for Aloy over there at Sony? I don't get this at all. Because there are certain metrics that we are going to look at that just goes to show that, yeah, the first game was a success. But this is not a franchise. It really isn't. Okay? Over a year ago, Sony announced a strategic partnership with Korean publisher NCSoft, with the speculated goal being to create a multi-format MMO based on the Horizon franchise. At the time, CEO Jim Ryan, who is Arrivederci, said partnering with NCSoft advances our strategy to expand beyond console and broaden PlayStation's reach to a wider audience. Like SIE, NCSoft shares a similar vision in creating high-quality, impactful entertainment experiences for players out or everywhere, and together we're excited to collaborate to push the boundaries of gaming further. And yeah, that was how many years ago at this point in time, and all we've got is nothing, right? Like, we've got a couple of ports for Horizon, but outside of that, like, nobody's really clamoring for this shit, okay? And Guerrilla Games, which at one point in time were pumping out banger titles, including Killzone, which was fun as hell. Like, the first one was a little bit janky, but Killzone 2 and 3, those were fun. And then that was one of the launch titles I actually got for the PS4. I forget what Killzone Shadow something or other. I could look over there if I really cared all that much, but had a good thing going over there. But enter Aloy, and then Guerrilla just decided, nah, man, we ain't doing anything else moving forward. In a recent interview for LEGO Horizon Adventures, Guerrilla Games art director Roy Postma reveals the studio moved away from Killzone franchise. Yeah. Originally launching on the PS2, Killzone was labeled by many as Sony's attempt to take down Microsoft's popular Halo series. It's kind of funny how both of those are, well, in the exact same spot. While many would argue that the series never quite reached those heights, yeah, but 2 was really good, man. Like, we can't undersell how much of an upgrade, because Killzone 1 was really goofy, but then Killzone 2, I'm pretty sure that was on PS3, right? If I recall, that was a big step up. Taking place in a futuristic and fictional world, Killzone series pit two factions of interplanetary strategic alliance against the militaristic Helgen Empire, offering a full story campaign experience. The shooter was also shift to competitive PvP, and yeah, following the launch of Killzone Shadowfall, that's what it was. Yeah, in 2013. Yeah, that was a launch title. I have it. I have my copy over there. It's over in my media wall over there. With the open world action title, yes, Horizon Zero Dawn, and since then, yeah, a complete shift away from the Killzone franchise was intentional. The recent interview with the Washington Post about the upcoming LEGO Horizon adventure game. Yes, Guerrilla Games art director Roy Postma admitted the studio was seemingly tired of the gritty and gray worlds of Killzone. No, man, there was some beautiful hellscapes. That's, I guess, one way that you could say about 2 and 3. But Shadowfall, there was a lot of blue, an awful lot of blue in the marketing as well. And I played a little bit of it and didn't obviously get through all of it, because it was just kind of generic FPS stuff, but it was good enough for what it was. But I was just kind of tired of those games at that point, because Call of Duty Ghosts just came out and it just really kind of killed my love of the genre. But I digress. We're done with it as a team, as a studio. We needed to refresh the palette, even though you hadn't been working on anything since the game's launch in 2013. Like no follow-ups, nothing, just all Horizon all the time. And why? Okay, as many people are pointing out, and especially when this article came out, or the idea that, this Horizon MMO is going to be out there. But how does Sony have so much fucking faith in Horizon franchise? This game is so soulless. Yeah, okay, because it had a really cool debut. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Techno dinos with cavemen. It's like, that could be cool, I guess. But then it's just, it was just kind of like third person. Far Cry is like, whatever, man. Why are they trying to make this the crown jewel instead of, making Uncharted, Crash Bandicoot, Sly Cooper, Little Big Planet, God of War, Christ almighty, any games that made Sony the place to play? Like, anything that actually broke into the mainstream. Why not work on any of those? Nah, it's Aloy. But as Rhino, okay, I don't know, man. Like, his profile reads like a Sony fanboy, but at the same time, it's like facts are facts, right? Because the first game sold 20 million copies and the second sold about 10 million copies. Ooh, that's a problem. They don't care. They don't care about whether it's soulless or not. It's about sales and money alone. That's Jim Ryan, Herman Hulst, and Totoki's leadership for you. I guess probably the guy that took over for Shueisha Yoshida. But where does he get those numbers? Okay, so we've got the PlayStation blog pulled up, and this is about the most concrete numbers that you're going to get. The Horizon franchise. Okay, the 2 games that are out there, right? The Horizon franchise sold at the end of 2023. Okay, they have sold 32.7 million copies. And what did our guy just say? 20 million copies of the first one? But Horizon Forbidden West, the follow-up, which was on PS5 and on PS4, sold 8.4 million units. Oh shit, so that means the heavy lifting was done by the first one on PS4. So that means that one sold 24.3 million units. And then you had this huge drop off from 24. You had from 24 million, you had down to 8 million units. That's a bit of a problem. And when you're judging the health of a franchise, when you have a fall off like that, you don't normally continue and follow up. And then also, to just really drive that fact home, the Lego Adventures, okay, and I understand that Steam is just a small portion, but in this case, it's a very small portion. Peak players. And at this point in time when I'm recording, 13 people are playing this spectacular experience. 23 people over this past weekend. And then, of course, peaking at 602 players. Abysmal. Absolutely pathetic. And yes, it also released on Switch and on PS4 and 5. I understand that the player base is segmented, but 600 players on Steam, that's an awfully good insight as to how many people outside of the Sony ecosystem give a flying fuck about this franchise. But yeah, when it comes to people that actually want to engage with this on a franchise level, let's just give it for the fact that, yeah, okay, there's 2 games that are out there. There's a spin-off Lego title. It's a franchise, whatever. Maybe there's an MMO out there in the ether. Who gives a shit? But the health of a franchise is dictated by the people that want to interact with it. If there are memes, if there's fan art, that's a good indication as to the health. But you don't have people actually drawing Aloy as she is depicted in the game. You have this very attractive piece of art. You don't have side-shaved mukbang channels from years gone by. No. You don't have round-headed cave divers in 2 senses of that term. Girl bossing her way through the wasteland. No. You have a character that people could physically and theoretically get behind. It's wild, right? So probably the most blatant example that I can draw is the Tomb Raider reboot, okay? Because I remember playing that game and I was a big fan of that game. Played through it the first time and played through it to completion. Thought it was awfully good. And that was back when Lara Croft was looking really good. And then in subsequent iterations, then she just started to get more baggage and talk about her daddy issues. And it's like, ugh, I don't really care about that stuff. I can go talk with women out there in reality and deal with all of their baggage in today's day and age if I would care a single shit about that. Why would I want to ingrain that in my escapism? But I digress. You don't get characters looking like this. And if you want to have a female lead, why do they always have to look like stunt doubles for Wicked? Okay, why? Outside of fighting games, who seem to be able to get this very complex concept correct, unless of course you're talking NetherRealm Studios, but it's going to be a minute before we see another Mortal Kombat game anytime soon. You got Virtua Fighter, you've got Street Fighter, you've got Tekken knocking it out the park. But Sony, if you're trying to make Aloy a thing, if you're trying to make her marketable, at least make her photogenic. You don't have to goon her out to offend the super religious or the woke community. You just have to make her attractive. It's not that difficult. You just have to also give her a fucking personality instead of just chick with bow, which everybody was sick of all the way back in the mid-2010s. Fucking Horizon's never gonna catch on until you figure out how to make a compelling protagonist, which you can. You did it with Nathan Drake, you did it with Kratos, and hell, you even did it with an anthropomorphic sack. A Little Big Planet. So it's not impossible. It's just highly improbable. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.